here it goes. Okay, so the intention of this time together is for us to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the Actually Kids Workshop Protocol Toolkit. As I mentioned on the state coordinator call last Wednesday, I hate this title. This is not it's terrible. I personally don't like it. So one of the first priorities for me too is to come up with something that makes it more exciting than Workshop Protocol Toolkit. Like, who wants to do that? So that is a priority as you're going through this. If you have a name for this that speaks to you that you think is really great, please feel free to share it. But what I wanted to do was have more of a dialogue about what this protocol, this new toolkit is and what it includes, and then talk a little bit about what you guys see and what you like and what you think is useful, and then have a discussion about what's missing, how we restructure, how we continue to update this. I see this toolkit as a living, breathing, workable document that every year we're going to be updating, not only like the data and the statistics, but also making sure that it reflects like current trends in our communities. So all of that says, you know, it's never going to be finalized. That's it, done. And so, as I said at the annual meeting as well, you guys are the ones that know more than I do what needs to be included. So as we're going through, jump in. And actually, I was going to ask Ashley, can you, I know you're on mute, I think you're on mute. Can you take notes from the call today if people make recommendations?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so this is from the annual meeting. I'm not going to go over all of these slides, but I thought it would just be helpful for us to do a quick overview again of what we're doing today. We're going to talk about the primary components of the toolkit, identify trends and themes and needs, and brainstorm a title. So again, as a review, we have been doing these workshops and trainings since 2002, and we formalized our school health team trainings in 2013. I think some of this language is really helpful when we're talking to our partners and potential schools and districts that are looking to us to host some of these workshops and professional development learning opportunities. So you can, I'll share these slides with y'all, but you can pull this language. This language also lives in chapter 1 of the protocol as well. So think about, as I'm going through this, how you can pull the language and integrate it into exactly what you say when you're determining if there's an opportunity to host a workshop or a learning opportunity in your community. So every year we host over 200 trainings and workshops on school health and wellness best practices, policies, wellness programming, and parent engagement. And then we also are building out new workshops every year. For example, this year we've updated and revised 2 additional Parents for Healthy Kids. And we also have the Game On for Health and PE. So we're always looking to refresh and build new content. So some of our deliverables for this year, and as I had mentioned earlier, my goal is to better understand what these deliverables look like for you all in your day-to-day work. But overall, we will be hosting in-person trainings and workshops to more than 600 schools across the country, 12 Parents for Healthy Kids workshops in these states, California, Florida, and Texas, online training webinars, and then of course, I know some of you are already doing that, submitting into conferences and local events and such as well. And again, just a quick review, why do we spend such a significant amount of our time in our deliverables and our work hosting these workshops? Because it is a heavy load. I completely understand how much this can take over your life when you're having a full day event or a half day event or a 2-day event, working with partners, bringing it in, having lunch, getting the registration. It is a massive undertaking. But what we know is that it really is a part of us being committed to this recognition that workshops and learning opportunities are a critical step. And I think that's, for me, the underlying piece. Because if we want to activate and mobilize school communities, we have to really be giving the knowledge and building the internal power and understanding of the systems that are currently in place so that we can create and integrate something new or in something sustainable. As I had mentioned before, this toolkit is a little bit different because everything is in one location. It has all the materials and resources. It also provides all the planning steps and pre-work, links for the surveys, everything's in there. And the goal is really to make sure that no matter if Katya, if you're doing a training in California or Michelle's doing a workshop in Texas, that we know it's going to reflect the needs and wants of the specific community, but that there is still going to be consistent and impactful messages around actually kids and best practices and policies that is centered around our organization. So I'm going to pause there and pull up the V-Drive link. Now, if you are a state coordinator, you'll be pulling this up on the Google Folders link that I had shared out with you last week. So if you're a regional manager, you have access to this V-Drive folder. If you're a state coordinator on the Google folder, it is the same format. It's the same chapters, the same activities. It's all going to look the same. The only thing I'll just need to make sure that is if I do make any changes in the V-Drive that I go ahead and do that in the Google folder. So that will be my responsibility to keep those updated. Before we start to get into these chapters and into this a little bit more deeply, does anyone have any questions about why we're doing this, how this is different, or why this might be of use to you? All right, so let's kind of get started in here. The first thing, if you are new to Action for Healthy Kids or you are returning, the first place that I would start, if I was you, would be to start right in Chapter 1. There's 2 pieces of information here that will be critical for you to sort of set the stage for all of the rest of the content in the folder. This first document, just give me a second while I pull this up. I'm not going to go through line by line every document, but I just want to pull up some of the critical ones. This first chapter is a great tool that will help provide language for you when you are talking to potential schools, districts, and partners who may be interested in either hosting a workshop or supporting a workshop that you're doing. You can copy and paste this language right into abstracts or into emails. Some of this came directly from our website, but we also did bring in communications and they kind of added in little tweaks as well. So we've just got language about who we are and what we do. I do want to point out something that we are updating this Every Kid Healthy equation right now. So in the coming months, this will look different. We're going to keep it as is for right now, and until it becomes updated, you can call it Every Kid Healthy equation. But just so you know, and I'll let you know when it does change. But if you get in here and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks different, that's why we're sort of going through a revision process. In here, we also have some of our language around our strategic goals, our history, some information about our accomplishments. All of these numbers have been updated. We also provided that background about why we do and what's the history of our workshops and our professional development opportunities. We've got some language in here around making the case. Also, too, important to note, actually, Deanna from Pennsylvania emailed me the other day, and she was looking for an updated Making the Case handout. She was actually doing some work with a different partner in Pennsylvania in her new job. We are in the process right now of updating our Making the Case handout. So if you're looking at that, and some of that is a little bit outdated, but we're hoping to have that ready for you by the end of September, middle of October. So that handout will be updated, but the data in here is all good. We also have an overview of the toolkit, how it's organized. We have information about Game On. We have the link to the Game On video. We have information about Parents for Healthy Kids. And Ellen also put some information here about breakfast. So this is a great place, again, to start. If you're having a conversation or having a call, sometimes I'll even pull up this information so it's on my screen and I can just pull language from it in wordage. But I think this is good for you as a first place to start. Is there anything over here in this introduction that is missing or that you think we should edit moving forward? Okay. If you do think of something as you do a deeper dive, let me know. The one thing that I would actually like to add in Chapter 1 is a section on your deliverables, so that as you pull it up, you can see right there what your expectations are around these trainings and workshops. I know it's a little bit different from last year. So that's something, but if you're thinking about other things, let Ashley, or I know Ashley's taking notes, or let me know after the call. All right, the other piece that I would suggest that you start with is this. It's going to take a minute to pull up. this workshop protocol toolkit table of content. Let me just tell y'all, this took me forever. So if you see a mistake, you can let me know because I spent so much time and you start to feel like you're going cross-eyed. This table of contents literally has every single thing that's in this toolkit. It tells you what chapter, so it tells you over here which chapter it's in. It tells you the material title, and it also gives you a description. So this is nice. I would print this out and have this on your desk or have this as a ready tool. This is nice because if you're like me and you don't like to just take a protocol and just use it verbatim, I kind of like to see what all the pieces are and what's available to me and then put it together so that it fits my own teaching style. This is great because you can sort of see the whole picture and then decide what you want to integrate into which workshop. So as you see here, we've got all of the information on chapter 2, chapter 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It goes all the way down to chapter 11. And then down here, this is where you get into the appendix. So this is the content-specific group activities, pop quiz, team challenge. We've got all of the interactive material. So these are the different activities that you can do that are interactive that I like because I think you can change these and modify them and edit them to fit any of the workshops that we have. That's why we don't have it in a specific workshop. So for example, the building support action cards, I think can be used in any of the workshops. The school health vision activity, that might be more so, the school health team, but maybe it's also, policy work. So think about how you can tweak the stuff to meet your needs. But I think, connecting it all in one place is a really good thing. We've got all of our customizable and printable materials. So you can see all of our tip sheets, pledge cards, certificates are all here. And then we also have other materials as well. So like a sign-in sheet and the Game On timeline and the template workshop flyer. All of this tells you where it is. So if you can't find it in the V Drive or in the Game On or in the Google folder, you can look here and it will tell you sort of how to drill down to find it. We also have supplementary slides as well that can be used and integrated into any of the workshops. So I'm going to pause there and see if anyone has any questions about this massive document or any feedback. Does it look clean? Can you find what you're looking for? Do you have any suggestions?
This is Katya. Yeah, this is Katya.
Go ahead, Katya.
This table of contents is really helpful when we partner with other partnering agencies, like I've been doing for the past 2 years, partnering with public health. So you can always look at the protocol and try to work with them and include the whole entire our training into their topic. So this is really helpful. I don't have to really go research it out and do it. So thanks. This is really helpful for me.
Yeah, awesome, Katya. I'm glad you feel like that. Like, when I was thinking about this was like if I was going to go into a partner meeting and say, okay, like what are the things that I have that are available as part of this workshop or this learning opportunity? You literally could go into this and circle the ones that you're going to use and then integrate it into what they have to build out a really great opportunity.
Correct.
All right, cool. So that's chapter 1. And I'll just go through these other, and then I'm just going to highlight some of the pieces that are new this year. So the pre-planning, this is an opportunity for you all to sort of do some of the pre-work that will help to ensure or increase the likelihood that the learning opportunity that you're hosting, either independently or with partners, really reflects the needs and the wants of the stakeholders and of the population that's coming in. Last year, I put together this Assessing District and School Readiness Guide. I'm just going to pull this up for you real quick so you can see this. This handout is a little bit more specific to the school health team workshop, but it's still, I think the questions still are valuable. It's important when we're doing that pre-work to really ask a lot of questions so that you can understand the need of the people who will be attending. And this workshop or this guide really, I think, helps you to do that by assessing the feasibility of a school health team workshop and identifying partners, and then also, kicking off a planning team session. So, sometimes when we start having conversations about doing a workshop or a learning opportunity, you know, you have to really think critically about, is this worth your time and energy, given like the number of people that are going to come and the support that your partners are going to be able to provide. Because as Katya said, we can't do it all. A lot of us have limited time in our contract. So the idea from this readiness guide was really to consider the different things, the different pieces that can lead to or not lead to a really successful event. So this goes into wellness policy and assessing and tracking progress. And you guys can go through that, but I think that's a helpful guide. We have some information here on the CEU process. So to obtain different national CEUs is in state level CEUs and professional development credits has been a useful tool for our state coordinators and regional managers. This document hasn't been built out entirely yet, the CEU one. The plan is, I love saying that, right? Because it's like, when are we going to do that? But the plan is to basically work with each of you at the state level to find out how the process works and what opportunities exist that are reasonable to get CEUs and professional development credits. Right now, this process and these considerations are more high level. But the goal is to drill down so that we can start to document that information somewhere. And by the way, if you already have some of that information and you want to send it over to me, please do. And then I'll just start dumping it into a document. And then when I get a chance, I can like kind of pull it all together and clean it up. But yeah, keep that on your radar for this year. Something that is new this year is this instructor bias self-assessment form. This is an assessment form that I pulled together with the lenses of the diversity leadership team. As you know, we are, this focus on equity, diversity, and inclusion. This self-assessment is completely optional. It is not meant to, provide any sort of long-term specific feedback for you, but rather helps you to consider some questions about your own individual self-bias. So that you can better create a workshop in which all people feel valued, respected, and successful. We all have stereotypes and prejudice and biases that we unconsciously bring into professional development and into our workspace. That's just a part of being a human. And I think a lot of these questions can help us to reflect on how we can improve as facilitators for workshops. So again, when you do this, you don't give us your answers. This is really for you. You are welcome to share this with partners as well. You also can do this as a post evaluation. Like you could look at it check your bias and your assumptions, and then post, go back and say, okay, like, what did I do well? What could I improve up? It helps us to bring those unconscious pieces to the conscious mind so that we can improve as facilitators. So I hope you guys like this. If there's something about it that you love, let me know. If there's something about it that could improve, let me know. I did build this off of an example that I got from August Ball, who was our consultant. But again, it's a working document, and I really want to hear your feedback about that. So I'm going to pause there. Any questions so far on either the self-assessment, the CEUs, or any of the pre-work? Okay. Everybody still alive out there? Am I talking to myself? Everybody good?
Yeah, we're good.
All good. Is anybody out there? All right. Okay. We keep it moving. So let's get into some of the workshops. I'm going to go back. These are our main workshops here, chapters 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. This is the bulk of what we do. And each chapter is essentially, I tried to organize it as similarly as the next chapter, so that it has the same feel no matter which chapter you're going into. So when you open up these chapters, what you'll see in here is, and this one actually doesn't have it, so I need to add, let's go over here. Okay. Every chapter should have, and I still need to add the abstract in for chapter 3. Every chapter should have 3 things, at least, okay? The PowerPoint presentation, the overview document, and the abstract. So the abstract for each of these is essentially standard language that you can use and edit for a abstract or like a conference proposal. So it gives you a, again, you can edit this to fit your needs, but I think it's really useful as you guys are presenting, like I know Brittany was presenting for like Wade State in Virginia, and you're starting to look at these different opportunities. You've got, you know, a title, it provides a background, your methods, results, conclusion, and we even give you sample learning objectives as well. So you should find that in each section, and you can tailor that to fit your needs. Again, if there's something in here you're not finding that you do need, again, you can always feel free to reach out to Ellen and I, but hopefully this will be helpful when you are looking at those opportunities. Each chapter also has an overview. This is also really nice because it tells you about the workshop, okay? It tells you a little bit of an introduction about what it's going to cover. It includes language around who the target audience is for how the workshop stands currently. Again, it doesn't mean that that is the only target audience, but it's how it currently is, who it's currently built for. It does provide some learning objectives that you can build into the language you're sharing, and you're trying to see if there's opportunities for hosting these. People want to know what they're going to be learning and be able to do by the end, so you can share that. And then we also give you a sample agenda as well. Obviously, you can build this agenda out into more detail. You can build these objectives out into more detail. But again, sample language to get you started so that you understand and can better like connect the dots of the PowerPoint slides and all of the pieces that go into that learning opportunity. I'm going to pause there. Any questions about what is in each of these chapters and what's included, or what, and maybe any feedback about what's missing?
Christina, this is Brianne. I just have a quick question on the abstracts.
Sure.
So you mentioned that we could use those for potential proposals coming up. Are those, would it be possible to like add a date or anything to the abstract, just because you obviously have a lot of really significant data included in here, so just so that we can know how up to date it is going forward?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. What I will say is this, know that for 18-19 that this has all just been recently updated, and we always update, we always will update it over the summer going into the new school year. But I think what we could do is during the school year, if there are additional updates, perhaps what I could do is down at the bottom, just like put like updated, you know, 9/11, you know, 2018, so you could see, like, kind of track it. Would that be helpful still?
Yeah, I think that would definitely be helpful.
Okay. Yeah. So
Thank
if
you.
there, yeah, absolutely. That's a great suggestion. I think for right now, all of this has been updated, but if you see it going forward, if there are additional updates throughout the year, I'll do that for you. Anything else? All right, as you get in here, play around with it. Like, I know Game On for health and PE teachers, like there's some different pieces in here. There's a longer agenda because we had created one, and I thought that would be helpful. You know, as you get into like Parents for Healthy Kids, there's going to be some different pieces. Like, we've got a video in here for you. So, you know, there is going to be some nuance to each chapter just because it's reflective of the content. But, you know, I think overall you'll see, you know, the abstract, the overview, and the PowerPoint presentation. And hopefully this will help you all. Remember, if you're like, oh, I don't know how to like find what I'm looking for, I want to see the whole picture, look at that table of contents, because that will really give you the full picture of where everything lives in here. Just want to go over a few other things. In Chapter 10, there is a post-planning outline. This is just really simple. It just goes into like, okay, now you had your workshop. What should you be doing afterwards to make sure that we are thanking our attendees and maybe writing thank you notes. And also we've been talking a little bit too about sort of doing some additional understanding of like long-term sustainable changes that may have been because of or connected to the workshops that we're doing. Because we don't really know, like 2 years out, like what the long-term sustainability and change is from some of our opportunities. So not sure what that's going to look like yet, but if you have any strong feelings about that, just know that is on our radar, and loop in with us if you have any suggestions. Chapter 11 is our Scantron evaluation piece. Again, we may be building more in here. There's the protocol for the Scantron and the cover sheet for the Scantron. And let me see here for a second. I'm wondering where the survey, let me see if it's in here. The survey link for the online survey should also be in here as well. Now I can't remember where it is, which is not good. Let me see if it's in here. Even I lose things in this folder. Give me a second, everybody. Evaluation protocol. Yep, here it is, right here. Online Surveymonkey. So to provide the following Surveymonkey link to participants. So if you are doing Scantrons, it gives you the full description of everything you need to do. And then online, if you're doing that, you can just embed this right into your workshop PowerPoint slides, or you can follow up and send it out after the fact. Also, too, if anybody ever wants to know what the results are of your post survey, you can always let Jillian know, and she can pull that for you. She usually asks about 2 weeks of turnaround time because it just takes her some time to pull that and filter it out. So any questions so far? We've gone through all of the main chapters, and I just want to spend a few minutes talking about the appendix, and then we can wrap up. All right. So the appendix is where all of the other materials live. This can get a little bit burdensome back in this end of the folder because there's so much content. So again, utilize that table of contents. This is where we're going to have our content-specific group activities. We've got a scavenger hunt and a pop quiz, a team challenge, a who can. So as you get into each of these, it'll give you more information, and you can learn more about what these different activities entail. And how you can integrate them into whatever workshop you're hosting. These pieces down here are more like, one-page activities, so they don't have multiple pieces to them. We have an implementation checklist, a school health vision activity, which kind of uses like a graphic organizer. We have an overcoming resistors and influencing decision makers. This is new this year, so I'm going to actually pull this up for you. So we heard last year was some feedback from state coordinators saying, that, hey, we kind of wanted to have an activity around how to practice verbal and nonverbal communication skills and engaging in dialogue with like potential resistors to, some of the work that we do, and also influencing decision makers. And I think this actually came from Ashley, who was in Nebraska, and Mike, I think, kind of had come to us too. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was those two. So this activity goes into, it gives you an overview of the activity, and it also gives you some, and then basically like a bullet point, like how to do the activity line by line. So this one was where they basically like pick a role, a person who, could potentially be a resistor or a decision maker. You can kind of decide what angle you want to go to. And then the partner, the other person in the pair or in the group, is the influencer, the wellness champion. And the idea here is to basically integrate this into your learning opportunity, where the wellness champion is practicing sort of tailoring the message and using verbal and nonverbal communication skills around school wellness, kind of like what we were doing with development at the annual meeting, to sort of get the, to either get the resistor to get on board or to build that potential champion and maybe get them to join your school health team or whatever. So that's kind of a fun interactive activity that we built out for you. And I'm hoping that with the objectives and the activity overview, that will help to give you some context when you're trying to decide if these activities are good for you or not. The other one that I want to point out as well, because I did note this in last week's email, but it might have gotten buried, because I know that email after the state coordinator call was super long. This one is still being built out, so it has not been finalized yet. But if you are interested and you want to look at it, let me know, or just pull it up. And if you see something, let me know. We're actually working with the Policy Solutions. I think that's what their name is, right? Our advocacy group. I actually have a call today with them. We're going to be talking about this activity, and they're going to give us some feedback. But the purpose of this activity is basically to talk about what advocacy is, and why school wellness champions should be advocates for school wellness, and how advocacy efforts can influence, and then to explore varying degrees of and time commitments for different levels of advocacy. So what this does is it helps people see that there are like really simple things that you can do to step into the advocacy, you know, put your toe into the advocacy pond. And then there's like really big time consuming things. And I think when we show people the scope of the opportunities that there are for advocacy, it makes people feel more comfortable in sort of getting involved, and helps them to understand and practice those skills. So this activity, it provides an overview for you. You can also use that to share with your, you know, your participants. It talks about why school wellness champions should be advocates. And then the activity piece actually gives many different types of activities. So you wouldn't do all of them. You would more so pick which ones will fit for you depending on your time and the needs of your audience. So for example, like one of the activities could be, you know, 1 to 2 minutes, sharing a post on social media, or signing up for Shape America's advocacy email list. You know, for 5 minutes, we have creating a dedicated campaign hashtag, or calling your elected officials, or the person who represents the issue that you are advocating for. We've got sending emails, writing a letter to the editor, writing an op-ed, and then of the most, right, scheduling a presentation or giving a talk, maybe at a school board meeting. Maybe you go and you attend a school board meeting, and the activity for your learning opportunity is to get people to start to flush out what that 5-minute presentation would look like at a school board meeting or at a city council meeting. So different levels of advocacy there. I'm actually pretty excited about this activity. More information to come, but I think hopefully it'll be helpful for the work that you all are doing. Any questions with the advocacy skill building activity? All right, I'm going to wrap this up soon. We're almost to the end here. We've got customizable and printable materials. These are all of the things you can print out and customize for your workshop. Group activities, we've got our icebreakers, our music mix, and physical activity break ideas. So if you're looking for examples of, okay, gosh, like every 20 minutes, my goal is to do a quick, you know, physical activity energizer. I think we've got like maybe 10 or 12 on here that Ryan and I built out a couple of years ago, and I think I added 2 last year. So these are super fun. Again, you don't have to use them, but it's a great way to just get the ideas going. We have some instructional guides over here for completing the SHE and the Pull Everywhere, and also the test portal guide that you can use for the School Health Index, or walking people through that process. We also have this supplemental presentation. So if you're looking for additional slides, like for example, your partner says, you know, we really want to spend more time on this workshop on the eating better, the nutrition side. There are additional slides here that you can pull into a slide deck, or you can even sort of use separate for those opportunities. Just the same with making the case and moving more. So you can check those out. Again, they're there for you and can be integrated as you see fit. So this piece down here, by the way, this lives here because as Jillian is pulling data in, she usually dumps it in here, and then we'll integrate it into where it needs to go into the toolkit. So if you're in here, feel free to pull this up. It's not a formal piece of the kit, but I'm just going to keep it here right now. Just so that Jillian has access to it, but just know that that's what that is. So that's about it. This was a long process for the field team and for myself, but I'm hoping that it will really help you all with your deliverables this year and with all the great work that you guys do with schools and partners and communities And I'll take a few minutes. If anybody has any feedback, positive or constructive, this would be a great time, and we can have a little bit of a dialogue. If not, we can also wrap up. So anybody have anything they want to share? Okay. Well, if anyone does have anything, again, reach out to Ashley or I. And I am excited to work with all of you this year on our learning opportunities. Good luck with putting it all together. I know it can be a struggle sometimes for some of us to get these scheduled and organized and get people to turn out. If you need additional support with any of those planning pieces, we are here for you. And that's all I got today, you guys. So unless anyone has anything, have a great rest of your day. I will send this recording out with the weekly message for which will go out on Wednesday. So you'll have access to that, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks for putting this together, Christina.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.